Hey folks, my name is Ravish and welcome back to another video in the series of DevOps Interviews. Now I have a candidate's profile with me today and he is around 5 years of experience in total, IT experience, and he has around 3 years of experience in DevOps and 3 years of experience in cloud. Now this person was heavily focused on Kubernetes. So he was a CKA certified Kubernetes administrator exam, and the whole interview is on Kubernetes because the person that we require for this position has to be very good in Kubernetes. So the whole interview would be on Kubernetes. Now this was a mid-junior position. That's why we interviewed someone who has somewhere close to 3 or 4 years of experience in cloud and in Kubernetes. So this would be around 20 to 25 minutes of video heavily focused on Kubernetes. We are not going to ask anything separately and we are just concentrating on Kubernetes only. All right, so just take out your pen and paper and you can note down the question that we have asked in this interview. Okay, so if you're new over here, I would like to reiterate that please subscribe the channel because it really motivates me to create more content like this. So without further ado, let's get started. So can you explain me the main components of the master node?
Yeah, mainly the master node, we have the components like a Kube API server, Kube control manager, HCD, and Kube scheduler. These are the components we are having it in the Kubernetes, and it has the unique feature like a master node with the set of the components like the Kube control manager, where it multiple control process with making our current state of our cluster and desired count of our application deployment, like that it controls the node controller and replication control, as well as the service account or token controllers, where it manages to that, and other as well. It has the unique the use case as well for that.
Okay. What are the different types of multiple container pods? Multi-container, you have
We
any
have
idea about that?
yes multi-container that the pod right there we can
Yes.
deploy the replication controller, the replica set, or a daemon set, or the deployments where we can able to perform the container. It's in the form of the paths.
Okay. Have you heard about this something known as adapter, sidecar? This is a pattern. And anything, any idea about that?
The sidecar I add about.
Yeah. Can you explain what is sidecar pattern?
Yes, sidecar is where it is. It's intended to run inside a Kubernetes cluster, connect to the specific the configurations of the specific the loops and the storage, including the Kubernetes cluster, and it's a main the controller which is running in the same as pod. Usually, it is providing the secondary container for our sidecars. Let's say for you have any kind of the passing the any metrics, or it can able to fetch that information from the where it is running. So inside the container which is running of the about the inside the pod for the maintenance of our container.
Okay. Do you know the concept of namespaces in Kubernetes? Can you explain?
Yes. Yeah, namespaces are nothing but it's like the design it to difficult to additional information where we can use the dividing our cluster resources between but where we can say like a virtual cluster, we can define our inside of our cluster with our name specific the naming convention as per the resource quota that we can also define for that as well. It is also logically isolating from the each other with a different namespaces that one.
Okay. Is there any relation between Docker and Kubernetes?
Yes, definitely it is there.
Yeah. Can you explain?
Yeah, yeah, Docker it is a container platform where we can separate thin virtual machines. The same thing we can have the Kubernetes sections in uh, the pods where it contains the multiple pods. We can have it in the multiple containers in that. So we can like the Kubernetes will be running on top of the Docker, which requires to like our the command line interface both access data or the API. The normally we can navigate a Docker cell at the structure where we can the supplementary of the CLI uncover kubectl or which helping us for running any Docker commands against the cluster.
Okay, so there is something known as like Kubernetes has a feature of self healing. What do you understand by that? Can you give me an example?
Yeah, so the self healing, that we can say like the strong capability of adding more feature into the orchestration engines. It's like any of the pod failed or any of the container failed inside that our the pods, it has the ability to bring up the automatically with a new pod with the existing data that it has the feature where it can detection the liveness, the mechanism for final checking of the health checkups of our application where we can become the another containers in the same position of the failed condition. It's like we can say zero down deployments.
Okay, how do you use this in your current project? Are you using it?
Yeah, we were using for a stateful the component here for achieving this.
Can you explain me that how are you using it in your project?
Yeah, the stateful set we are using for our application and when mentioning our required set of a replica count for our application. As for our desired count, it's like for a 20 or a 10. Some might cases, any one of the pod was built down or cache automatically. It will bring up with a new pod with the existing data for our persistent storage for our application running here.
Okay, what do you understand by Minikube and how it helps you?
Yeah, Minikube is like the minimal resource which is able to provide uh, for us as for that like a one master and one Kubernetes and local Kubernetes cluster for our any kind of operating system like a Mac or a Linux or a Windows. It will propose a local setup based Kubernetes where we can run locally instead of using any servers like either in the cloud or on one premises. It doesn't require that. It just require the normal operating system, as I said, like a Windows or a Mac or Linux.
Okay, so we talked about kube proxy, right? What is the role of kube proxy?
Yeah, the crew proxy, it is more about taking care about uh, the networking part in where our the process which is running in the pods are running in the each node where it is looks like every time where we new service is created, the crew proxy will be creating our required rules for our each node for a forwarding a drop to the bus of those services to the our backend pods where it is taking care about the using the specific IV tables rule for assigning the to the services.
Okay, so there is something known as Kubernetes controller manager, right? So, what is the use of Kubernetes controller manager? Any idea?
Yeah, the queue control manager, where various controllers in our Kubernetes system, like it is also one daemon is it is running in a backend where it is providing for the continuous monitor the state of various components within the system and working towards bringing the whole system in a desired function like any one of the parts or any of the service which is went down where it is responsible bringing the desired the functional state of uh, our application and managing the our entire system in the bringing that back.
Okay, so there is one more component known as etcd, right? Heard about it? Etcd.
Yes, yesterday is it's a that wrongly we can say like it's a one kind of the storage which is consisted in our Kubernetes cluster where it is a distributed key value storage, a reliable way of storing our data needs to access with a distributed system for the different applications which is required. Uh, for that, it is was associated with one of the component in the Kubernetes and the backend functionality, everything. It's in under control only for like a like a way to provide the like I can say like a fault or tolerance side kind of things that I can say.
Do you know in what programming language etcd is written? Any
It
idea
is
about?
city.
Yeah, in what programming language it is written? Any idea about that?
It's one kind of the database, right? The lightweight database.
Yes, it is, but in what programming
It
language it is
yeah.
written?
I think it's in C. Golang.
Okay, yeah. So there are multiple services available in Kubernetes. There is something known as cluster IP, right? So can you explain me what is the function of a cluster IP?
Yeah, the cluster IP where it is giving an access from our Kubernetes cluster any nodes, where it can use of the virtual API. It's making an travel to the several ports, which is on the same port, not on the same node, which is made available the ports available to the our other ports in the each other nodes for having an unique IP address for that. It can't give any access to the outside of the cluster that I can say.
Okay, okay. So there is a collection of rules that act as an entry point to the Kubernetes cluster. Do you know what is it? What it is called?
Could you repeat?
So there is a collection of rules that act as an entry point to the Kubernetes cluster. Do you know what it is? Any idea?
The ingress controller
Yes,
or
yes.
load
Ingress
balancer.
network.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how does it work?
Yeah, egress controller, it is a one kind of the component in a Kubernetes where it is making the proxy kind of things in a cluster where it is specialized for our load balancer for the standard managing a container application for which is which is like the allowing the incoming or inbound traffic to the service which are the used for our any load balancer kind of which is tagged with that. It's not it's not like the start automatically the cluster. It will be having another the application service which needs to be the same as thing like it's like a third party. The functionality will be provided the same as like any other Kubernetes ingress controllers are same as thing this one.
Okay. Do you have any idea of container resource monitoring tools? Anything that you done on monitoring part?
Yeah, I done with the Grafana and Prometheus.
Grafana and Prometheus. Have you heard about Heapster?
Yeah, it is a component where it is reside in a component, right? In the Kubernetes cluster, is a structure that will representation of the Kubernetes cluster where is it is expressed with any kind of uh, the historical data of any pod or namespaces or a cluster or any service. Uh, it is providing for that. It enables a cluster monitoring and the performance analysis about that. It will collect the all metrics about that our resource usage or any other the pod or service about that.
Okay. What is the difference between replica set and replication controller?
Yeah, both are used to for bringing an a set of logical pods running in the through the one unique app name. And the where replica set and replication, it has a slight difference only, which is enabling for through labeling only. Like the selectors, where you mentioned with that, right? The replication controller, it is the equality based labeling it will provide. The replica set, it will be like a set based. Whatever we the naming convention we can be set it for that. It can be used in our selectors for the providing for that. It's mainly the key difference only. The equality based or set support based labels, or you can say selectors.
Okay. So there are basically two types of selectors. Can you do you remember, or can you explain me that?
Yes, that equality based selector and the set based the selectors.
Okay. What is the difference between both of them?
Yeah, the equality, the base like what I can say, like, what I can. Yeah, what are the let's say the equality base? Whenever we're calling through the selector, right? The name should be matched as much as like 100%. Let's say for something naming convention we have provided for that, that should be matched 100%. In a replication rate, right? It is a set base. It will match with any the keyword or any the naming convention we have provided. It will be taken automatically without hesitation, as compared to the replication controller.
And the selector based?
Yes, on the selector based only.
Okay. So which of these allows filtering keys according to the set of values? Selector or equity?
Could you repeat?
Which type of selector allows filtering keys according to a set of values? Which one of these? Selector based or equity based?
Replica set, replica set based. I mean set based.
Okay. Okay. Have you heard about headless service?
Yes, I am heard about that.
Yeah. So what exactly is it?
Yeah, the headless service, it can, we can say like it can't use any kind of the service in Kubernetes. Like we can directly talk to the our pods, and it doesn't require any external IP addresses to access to the any kind of access we need to provide the outside of the cluster. And we can say like it's like a more over like a virtual relation as a part of the pod instead of the cluster IP service.
Okay. How do you manage multiple Kubernetes clusters?
Multiple Kubernetes cluster, there we have a tool like a rancher. It is the
Can
one
you
the
spell
cluster
it?
rancher tool.
Rancher. Okay. RANCHER, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And how do you manage in that?
Yeah, the rancher is it's adapting technologies for the containers or the Kubernetes cluster, where the DevOps involves for bringing the uh, it's a where the tool for where we can the spin up the multiple clusters, the Kubernetes in the rancher itself. We can manage it from the single place cloud as we can using for the rancher for that.
Okay. Have you heard about anything about federated clusters?
Yeah, I heard about for that. I
Yeah.
haven't
Can you
used
just
that.
walk
Like,
me through it? What is federated clusters?
yeah, where it is like the specifying resource across the different cluster, keep the resource across it with the different. It's a one place called where we can attach a multiple cluster, where we can synchronize the resources from the cluster to cluster for having the same kind of the deployment, a set of a different cluster in a single place. And it also uh, like uh, the host and server client of the architecture it has that I can say.
Okay. 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 Let's consider a scenario. Okay. Let's say, suppose a company built on one monolithic architecture that handles a lot of products. Okay. Now, the company decides to expand itself because today everything is moving forward and the company expands in scaling industry. Their monolithic architecture started causing issues. How do you think the company should shift from monolithic to microservices and they should deploy their containers? Did you get my
Yeah,
question? I can reiterate.
yeah, what I understood, like the company wants to increase their infrastructure and the monolith-based application, but while moving to that monolith microservice-based, what is the approach you are asking, right?
Yeah, yeah. So they were on monolithic, but they want to expand and they want to go to microservices. So how they can move forward using Kubernetes?
Yeah, that like yeah, migrated to the monolithic architecture to the microservice, like it's a time-consuming task. But once we benefits to that, like monolithic architecture, but the performance-wise, the microservice have the valid reasons we can say like for having the single platforms and we can deploy the multiple application in a single time, but the where it decreases the maintenance cost as well. The journey to that the monolithic to the microservice, we can have the multi clusters and normally we when we talk about that the monolithic, right? The monolithic side you have we need to have multiple servers. Whenever we need to deploy any kind of application, it requires a lot of the virtual machines which need to be maintained, the maintenance as well. While migrate with any the versions to that, it will take a lot of time and patching to the servers. It requires a lot of time, the resource and everything. Then the microservice space, like once we have ready with our microservice based architecture, and then we are having a setup and it has a build pipeline or any other CI/CD, right? Where we can transfer that into the new deployment strategies and we can also the exist with the or existing information and we can also complete eliminate the monolith and we can be migrated to the uh, microservice based. it is the cost decrease of the project as well, because where we can set up the multi-clusterized applications here, and also like a self-healing, storage orchestration, bin packing, zero-down deployments that we can't achieve in the monolithic based application when we are doing an incremental or decremental updation, yeah, as compared to that.
Okay, okay. Now let us take an example of company like Facebook. Okay. Now consider a situation in which Facebook has a distributed system. For example, they have their own data centers. They have a lot of virtual machines, and all the employees are working on various tasks. Now, how do you think that Facebook can manage all the tasks in a consistent way using Kubernetes?
Yeah, through microservice based applications is only for
And
if
how will this Kubernetes help them? Can you club
yeah,
it?
yeah, let's say we can't maintain all features in a single container based application. We'll have a multiple, the containers is the multiple services where it has one service can be is been triggered with another service. So let's say the user wanna have the login page. Whenever the user was enter the details, and it will go ahead and check the database the user exists, and otherwise it will throw like the user does not exist there. The same thing process like whenever the user working on the specific feature, right? That the feature can be go to the specific microservice one, which are the like instead of upgrading all the applications at the same time, they will be uh, segregated to the feature wise, that we can specific the developer one working on some feature one and the developer to work in the feature two. It will be go upon on the service which is they worked on. It can be upgraded to the which of the service they were using it. Like instead of if there is no the microservice, right? If it is in a single monolithic application, what are the changes we were doing it? It need to be upgraded all the entire application. It can't be the single feature.
Okay, okay, okay. Have you heard about this application known as Quick Ride? Heard about it?
Rapid, right? Or,
Quick Ride, QUICKRIDE, Quick Ride. Heard about it? There is an application,
yes, yes, quick rate. It's offering
ca-
same as rapid rate. Yes, yes,
uh,
Rapido. Okay,
carpooling
okay.
company. Heard about it?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Okay. So consider QuickRide want to increase their number of servers by simultaneously scaling their platform. So how do you think that QuickRide can deal with the servers and their installation with respect to Kubernetes, using Kubernetes?
But that we can like the Kubernetes implementer, right? Whenever we have an on demand, like when you have peak hours, at
Hmm.
that rate we can make the Kubernetes plus the minimum, the pool size and maximum
Can you
pool
speak
size.
a bit
That,
louder? Can you speak a bit louder, please?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, yeah. Perfect, perfect. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying like if that quick rate wants to for go for a incremental of their servers, right?
Hmm.
That we can go with a load balancer or auto scaling group. There we can mention that, right? Whenever we have a minimum desired count or maximum desired count and a specific desired count, that we can mention. It will bring the same set of the worker node should be added into our cluster, and we having the same unique feature as compared what are the features we have in the earlier cluster. Same feature will get to the adding the more cluster in the form of the cluster incremental through the load balancing auto scaling group, where we can spin up our desired the state of count with the clusters.
Okay, okay. What is the difference between a secret and a config map?
The configs are majorly used for the storing of environment variables here having in a single place, and we can call wherever it was required. And the same thing for the secrets as well, for storing our sensitive information, any kind of the passwords or any username which can't be exposed. That we can be having in a secrets, and there we can encrypt, and it can be referred to uh, the key which is used in the secrets, that we can call it in the our manifest files for the calling the required information from that secrets.
Okay, okay. So consider there are multiple nodes, okay, and one of the node is tainted. Is there any way to still schedule the pods to that node?
Yes, we need to untaint it and we need to change uh, the rule for that.
How do you do that? How do you apply a taint to a node, by the way?
That we can use the commands we need to use for the taint and toleration for our cluster. That
Do,
we can have another use the kubedm commands for that.
do you
Like
remember
in
the
normal
command?
we have
Do you remember the command?
yeah qctl taint the nodes and node name. There we can give an a the key value equals to like a scheduler and a schedule. We can give it that.
Okay. So let's say out of multiple nodes, there is one node. Sorry, out of multiple pods, there is one pod that is always running. Is there any way to monitor that? That which one is always running?
That normally the cluster is monitoring that our pods and our, through the Grafana or Prometheus for the monitoring and logging for that, or like internal monitoring like a that discussion about that the logs we can check it that.
Okay. Have you heard about probe in Kubernetes?
Yeah, the probes we have for checking the status and where it can be run after the executions like readiness or health when you start up probes or healthy probes we have, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Uh, how do you what do you do for security in Kubernetes?
Yeah, the security where we can have in the cluster role and cluster role binding in the service account like our back that we
Mm-hmm.
can use for setting up our security to the role based authentication strategies. We can use it here for making the our cluster with a more secure way of that using that.
Okay. Okay. So this would be my last question for today. What is the difference between load balancer IP and external IP?
The load balancer IP which is getting to the could you elaborate once again?
So there is something known as external IP. This is and something known as load balancer IP. What is the difference between both of them?
Yeah, the load balancer and external IP, right? It is the same IP, right? That we can use it for our routing based traffic to the our load balancer, and the load balancer will get the domain name which is configured to through our external IP. The same only.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm done.